Now, here's one of the keys. We're going to measure this a little bit differently than what you may be thinking. So when you look at your 401k, your IRA, and you see a nice big round number of $1 million in there, that's your money, but again, some of it is Uncle Sam's, and he just hasn't got his share yet. Another way to think about, or another measuring stick to use is purchasing power. And I'll show you what I mean here in a minute. So if we look at a Roth conversion day one and say, okay, we have $100,000 in the traditional IRA, and we actually have $25,000 in a non-retirement account. Okay, and our total dollars are $125,000. Now, if we convert that $100,000 over into a Roth IRA, and we're in a flat 25% tax bracket, how much in tax are we going to have to pay? $25,000. Very good. Which Joe I know you. So essentially, we would wipe out our non-IRA funds or our retirement account or non-retirement account and pay the tax. So our total dollars day one of the conversion is $100,000. Now, what I'd say as far as thinking about this in a different measuring stick, if you will, if you want to go and say purchase a second home in Florida or purchase a boat or pull money outside of the IRA account for whatever reason, when you pull that $100,000 out, you're going to have to pay tax on it, right? So essentially, same sort of thing there. You subtract away the $25,000. So day one, would you agree with me that we have $100,000 purchasing power, whether we leave that money inside the IRA or whether we do the conversion? Okay, that's one of the keys when you got to think about this stuff too. You know, and again, the non-IRA funds of $25,000 we use to pay the tax on the conversion, and that is going to be one of the keys here. You can run the numbers as far as if you don't have outside assets outside of the IRA or 401k that convert, but if you don't, then it's going to be much less beneficial to convert essentially. So should you convert? Well, we see we're age 65 here, $100,000, and you can see going out age 80, 85, 95. Essentially what we see is that there's a $40,000 advantage by age 85. Now that's in dollars 20 years down the road, but still $40,000. So long-term inflation is about how much? 3%. So if we bring that into today's dollars, you know, after 20 years, basically by making this decision today, you know, we do this today. Everybody does it. $100,000 walks out of the room. We're all $22,000 better off when we get to age 85. Make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. And remember, what did we do for tax brackets? We went from 25 to the 28% bracket. We actually went up in tax brackets. What if we can, you know, stay in the same bracket, or if we have some, we're going to see if we have some control over, you know, Social Security, over pensions, over stock options, if we can kind of control our income a little bit more to kind of create a couple real low years of tax brackets. Meanwhile, you know, when we get past age 70 and a half, we know what would happen. We're going to keep getting built up tax rate wise. Have to keep taking more and more out. So again, we're going to have some opportunities here at the bottom line. It's regardless of starting age. One of the things that you hear as well, you know, you got to be you got to be young to do this or something, and that's not true for a couple different reasons. One, again, if you're no better or no worse off, but if you've diversified away some of your tax risk, I'd say that's probably a pretty smart thing to do if it's not going to cost you any money to do it, or if you're going to have the same purchasing power. Two, if this is going to be maybe not be live on money, but leave on money, well, you are going to be extending your time horizon as well. So, you know, the time period or the time horizon that we're looking at may not just be over your life, essentially. And you can see that, you know, you look at, there's only a little bit of difference there, but again, on the scale, a little bit of difference is, you know, $40,000 in 20 years or $22,000 today. So a little bit is a lot. So let's look at saying, okay, well, what if it's extended a generation? So you could say, well, if this is us and we leave the money to our kid, or if this is our parents and, you know, essentially they leave the money to you, the IRA owner and spouse die 20 years after conversion. So if you're 65, died age 85, the funds are then inherited by a 55-year-old beneficiary. So anybody 55 or pretty close to it in the room? Okay, checking.
Very close.
Close.
Spending is equal to the required distribution from the traditional IRA for each scenario. So basically, rather than reinvesting this in an after-tax account now, we're just saying that, okay, the required distributions are coming out and they're being spent. They're not being reinvested. So a little slight change here. And we're going to measure this in total purchasing power of remaining funds after 28% income tax allowance on the balance of the regular IRA. So this is for the engineers out there, the assumptions that are going into this. What do you notice? A bigger difference. So again, more time, you see that compounding over time, and basically at the child's age 85, or this would be, what, 50 years now. So 20 years, you know, for the owner, and then 30 years for the beneficiary, or 50 years total. That you can see it's $700,000 plus over that time frame, but you know, who can think in, you know, 50-year dollars essentially. So if we bring that back to the present, what's the value of that advice today? Essentially, it's $162,000. Okay.
And that's not reinvesting, that's spending the...
Spending the required distribution. And this is one of the things, because even if you convert and you have an inherited Roth IRA, so you can make a conversion and you go ahead and your child inherits that, they do have to start taking required distributions of the inherited Roth IRA. If it's left to your spouse does not. But those distributions, those required distributions for an inherited Roth IRA are not taxable. If it was a traditional inherited IRA, you still have to take the same distribution, exact same as the Roth IRA required distribution, but that will be taxable. But you're going to spend whatever, you know, amount is left essentially. So you can see again over time, you know, much bigger difference. And if tax rates do go up, then again, then obviously that's going to get bigger.